Right, this is the 4th bloody time I've tried to do this because I've been trying to get the correct words to describe the awfulness that is Ghost Train version 2461. So, queue line is pretty crap. It's the same as it always has been, and every so often he just goes, "This is a Ghost Train announcement," and that's it. There's some nice history bits in there, like Loggers Leap posters and old Flying Fish and depth charge posters and stuff. So if you like your history, that's that. The pre-show is the exact same pre-show as before, for the most part, but it's got a new story. It's got a very, very awful Bloody Peppers ghost effect that is just bloody terrible. And then it also has some of the worst programmed lighting I have seen in a long, long time on an attraction. But it does establish the story. The story has legs. The story has potential. Do they fulfill that potential? What do you think? Of course they don't. But yeah, anyway, so then you go off, you go for your pre-show, you go to holding thing. There's like the TV screens are still there, and they show some news footage and some weather footage that you didn't really get to experience because we got ushered straight in. But they did have teletext, and I like teletext. That's some cool, so I'll give teletext a thing. Then we go into the train area. That's what I'm calling it, the train overnight station. Isn't that right, Poppy? And it's different. They've got rid of all the old like steam train cabin look. That's all gone, and it's like more modern-ish train. And then you get on the tube train and there's 2 cast on with you with microphones. There's a host as well. He does all the ride bass and stuff. Fun fact, apparently here at Thorpe Park you can talk out your eyeball, because one of the cast had his microphone here. Now, I might be a lighting tech and not a sound tech, but I know sound comes out your mouth and you need a microphone by your mouth, not by your eyeball. So then the ride starts, and the cast spew out this script they've been given that is absolute trollop. Honest to God, it's just terrible. It doesn't add anything to the story. They just say, "Oh, we better not stop at that junction stop. We better not stop at that station. Oh no, if we stop at that station, no stopping at the station. No." And then they hang on the bars and they're like, "Wee, I'm swinging on the bars, wee." Right. And then suddenly you stop and you get off and you're in scene 2. First thing I noticed when you walk in there is Merlin's classic crypt smell that they do love. And then they must have had a breakout sale on London Dungeon skulls, because it was full of them really cheap, tacky skulls from the London Dungeon. Now, given the lead creative on this was the guy who's in charge of the dungeons, that doesn't surprise me. Then we go into the crypty part of the story, and the first thing you see when you get in the room is a massive white bloody conveyor, and I mean white, like pearl white. You can't not see it. So you look up and you're like, "Oh look, there's a runner up there." Funnily enough, something happens with that. Surprise, I know. Now you cannot tell me that someone didn't think, when we install this, we should get a black runner or a black cable or black drive chain or something so you can't see it in the dark. Like, it's meant to be dark and you get a white runner. How dumb is that? Like, that's top tier levels of stupid, right? Absolute top tier level of monstrosities and stupidity and dumbness. Then again, the guy with the microphone in his eyeball, his mic wasn't working in that room, funnily enough. I don't know if it hadn't connected to that zone, or sound doesn't come out the eyeball. Either way, that whole scene is just dumb. It's very, some of it, it's very 13-y, with, there's a lot of druids and wraiths in there, and one of them's like on a pivot, it's just like a Dalek. He goes, "I am a Dalek," you know, or "I am a wraith and I am gonna make a ghost come out," all on the conveyor belt that you can see, because we couldn't be bothered to hide it, because we can't do things properly. And then some spooky shit happens with lights and very badly lit, cheesy, bloody skulls that light up orange and look tacky as fuck. And then for no apparent reason, you get ushered out of the room to get back on the train. Then you get back on the train, and what happened to me was we waited. And we waited. And we waited for nearly 15 minutes. Nearly 15 minutes we were stuck there, and the cast didn't have a script to fill time in a holding pattern, which is failed miserably. Like, that ride is going to have holding patterns whatever way you look at it, right? It could be a disabled person getting on or whatever. It's going to have points where you're going to get held. At least give them some form of script to fill in that time, because we sat there just chatting amongst ourselves, and honestly it was dull. They were just there swinging on the handrail, swinging on the handrail, swinging on the handrail, swinging on the handrail. Not one person, not the ride host, didn't speak to the cast. The cast took over 10 minutes to speak to the ride host. So we all just sat there in absolute bloody pointlessness. Now, there was obviously an issue because they have given fast tracks at the end of it. However, the way it was handled was absolutely abysmal. Like, if I was running a business and my team did that, I'd be pissed right off. So yeah, but then you obviously end up where you started again, because that's how that ride works. And then you go into the shop. Now, the finale is exactly the same as the finale for Darren Brown's Ghost Train version 12 or whatever it ended up being. Except instead of having a demon come out at you, you have a cast member in Thorpe Park uniform coming out going, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then she tells you to sod off. It's pretty dumb, I'll be honest. And there's something to do with the station master there that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like, and I mean none. Like, I was laughing. I burst out laughing multiple times throughout this experience, and I actually felt bad for the cast, because it wasn't the cast's fault. They've just been given a terrible, terrible script that's been executed terribly. You know, it's hard to tell realistically in the grand scheme of things what they've actually done in here, because they haven't done a whole lot. Like, oh, and I've just remembered, so if you've been on the Curse at Alton Manor, you know they love their UV paint, don't they? They love it. Well, they must have had a lot left over, because they UV painted the absolute shit out of the inside of the trains. So when the thing with the ghost and goblin creature druid people happened, he comes on your train, he's like, ooh, I've got a really bad mask on, ooh. And it was like you put a bit, you remember when you make them masks out of paper plates as a kid and you cut the eyes out? That's what it looked like he was wearing. But yeah, then the UV comes on and it's all written and it's all stuff and something to do with believers, and it didn't flow at all. It was just so dumb. Like, honestly, just I am genuinely struggling for words to describe the terribleness that I have had to go through today. It's a shame. I mean, it's not a shame, is it? Let's be honest, we all knew it was going to be like that. The sad reality is there's people out there who are proud of that. Someone go, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what I've done to that. Well, you shouldn't be. You should be ashamed. So shame on you, shame. So yeah, overall, it's worse than Curse at Alton Manor. And for anyone who knows me, I don't like Curse at Alton Manor. So yeah, that's basically the gist of how bloody awful it is. There was also some people in the queue who were wearing stickers that said #NotMyGhostTrain. And then, yeah, I didn't get that, but I thought it was weird. So yeah, basically, as we all expected, Thorpe Junction's ghost train that only has one ghost in it is absolute shit. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. I don't even feel like I can rant properly about it because it's so bad. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're watching, if you haven't subscribed, you might as well hit subscribe, or don't. I don't really care. I'm probably gonna have donuts and go for a piss. So yeah, shame on you, Merlin Magic Making, and yeah.